Warning: the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
I've been losing my mind, so I'm back on these pills. Fighting these demons, you know what I feel. Got me a pad, now I'm back in the field. It's been so long, I wonder, do I heal? Snakes in the grass, so I'm keeping it real.
Welcome to another episode of Wrestling the Rat Game. And as you see, we have a special guest. We have Misha Montana in the building. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, dude?
I'm doing amazing.
Good.
As you see, this is different scenery. She was nice enough to let us into her home to shoot this.
Yeah, I'm excited that you guys are here. This is fun. Welcome to the office.
Yes.
Slowly adding pieces to it. Empty bookshelf, but that's okay. We'll add to it as we go here. We do read, you know. People probably think I can't read from time to time, but I
hope
can, I
not.
promise. There's one book up there. The Be a Man guy. That was a gift. He's awesome. So
Again, I want to thank you for your time. With just coming on here. It's we really appreciate it. Over here at Wrestling the Rap Game.
no, of course. Thank you for having me. I'm happy
Absolutely.
to be here.
Absolutely, and for those of the people who don't know, give them a little bit of your backstory.
Well, I am an award-winning adult film star and director. I am also the chief brand officer and only female director for a company called Alterotic, which is a leading company in alternative porn. I've won my first directing award under them, so that's pretty exciting. I also am a stroke survivor and advocate for stroke awareness, as well as humanizing the adult industry, so I wear many hats in that form, but you know, all kinds of exciting things.
Well, I mean, one of the things one of the things you said was a stroke survivor. Like, how did that happen?
Well, the stroke, the stroke story is wild. Like, it's crazy because I got the vaccine, and I'm, cautious to say like, what it was exactly because certain things they'll censor it. But I got the vaccine in 2021, and then a week later, I got a blood clot that I didn't know I had, obviously, and it traveled to my heart, and I had an undiagnosed heart condition at the time, and it's called a PFO, so I had a hole in my heart, and it went through the hole, shot up to the left side of my brain, and then caused me to have a stroke. So, and I didn't know I was having a stroke, and of course, at the time I had the stroke, I was having sex with a former partner, a motocross guy I was seeing at the time, and actually, like, in the middle of having sex and not being able to talk and noticing that my whole side of my face was drooped out and I lost control of the right side of my upper body, and then I ended up driving myself to the hospital the next day, 2.5 hours to the hospital, and because I was in the middle of nowhere. Just every circumstance, like everything that went along with it was just like the perfect storm of circumstances to be like the furthest away from any place you could be with, having sex and doing all these things. And like, I could have been literally anywhere else. Like, I work in LA. I was living in Reno at the time and commuting. So like, I could be in Reno, I could be in LA, I could be wherever in a city where you'd be nearby a hospital. But no, of course not. It never works out that way. So, but yeah, so the stroke was crazy, to say the least. I was in the hospital about a week, and then had to go through really extensive speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy with my hand. I couldn't brush my teeth. I couldn't do a lot of things with it. So, but it ended up like the stroke was great because it allowed me opportunities that I never would have had before. And it really, opened up a whole new world and changed my perspective on life and gave me the ability to like help other people that have gone through things in the past. So, it's really a wonderful gift in a lot of ways. So
Yeah, I mean that's intense.
it was intense. People don't believe, they're like, there's no way that's a real story. Like it is. That's what happened.
That is intense. And do you have any like stuff like Bell's, like every now and then Bell's palsy to come in and out?
Well, that's what when you look things up when they happen to you. Bell's palsy was one of the first things that popped up, like on the Google search.
Yeah.
Where you're like, am I gonna die? And this is the time they're like,
Yeah.
go to the hospital, but you're like, nah. Google's overreacting. I don't have like any more episodes if I were to have another stroke. my risk is high of having another stroke, especially like the first year after. It was really high to have another stroke and a heart attack. So I was really like paranoid about that the whole time too. Like having another stroke would have been, devastating. So you just have this like lingering fear. Like even sometimes I'll have like anxiety attacks and you feel like, I'm like, oh my God, is this going to happen again? But the thing is with like strokes, even heart attacks, there's no warning like coming. There wasn't for me. I mean, I can't remember anything changing, where it was like something painful, or I think heart attacks are different in that sense but even then, I mean, I think a lot of people say that they never knew they were having a heart attack too, which to me is crazy because you think like massive heart attack.
When you see like the movies and there's like the
yeah, you're shutting down slowly. But like my uncle died of a massive heart attack. He was an emergency room doctor at the emergency room, and he died of a heart attack because he like went and laid down in his office and died. So like, to not know the signs, even like as somebody who is a doctor, so it's like for normal people to try to experience that with recognizing the signs is difficult. And for me being 30 years old and having a stroke and thinking, I knew nothing about strokes. I don't think most people do, so, and it's becoming more common, like more young people are having strokes like all the time. And even like Justin Bieber's wife, Hailey Bieber, had a stroke. Like it's crazy how many people are having them now. So combination of factors, but I'm very happy that I'm alive, one. So, and I got most of my face back. So that was great because that was, something I was super afraid of was, being like, and that's not even coming from a vanity perspective. It's just like, it's terrifying to like lose half of the feeling in your body and then be like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get this back,
Yeah, no, I suffered from Bell's palsy.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, when I was in 8th grade.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened when you had your same kind of thing?
Yeah, just I woke up and half my face was just droopy. And
oh, you look great.
I
it came back too.
For the most part, I still have like my eye every now and then.
Oh, yeah.
But it happened at the perfect time. I had 8th grade graduation photos.
Oh no! It was while you're having photos.
It happened like 3 days before.
Oh no! So your photo.
So my photo, I look very. It's not an appealing picture. It's not.
Oh my God! Well, but that's the thing. It's kind of at the time you're like, man, I don't want pictures of this. Like I didn't take enough pictures. I feel like because looking at it now too. I can't even believe it. Like right after and taking the photos. And when I was in the hospital, we actually started Alterotic did an adult documentary called Showcase, which is common in the adult industry. They do star showcases, which is, they pick a performer and then they have them do, whatever scenes to do in their showcase. So they wanted to do a showcase, but they made it documentary style. So my stroke was in the showcase, and it was very unique. It's the most nominated star showcase ever. So really cool because it was so unique. And then all that documentary footage, trying to turn it into a mainstream documentary also. So I have tons of footage from it, and just like even going through it, it's like day and night difference between how you were then to now. And being the ability to talk, I think, was the most noticeable. Like, and then having to learn how to talk again is
a lot of facial exercises as well.
So much like speech. Well, and they wouldn't let me eat in the hospital for a while, like a few days. They're like, you have to have liquid because they didn't know if I could swallow or not. So
I mean, that's crazy. The 30 years old having a stroke, like that's scary, very, very scary. And I'm glad you're here. Like, glad you're fine, healthy as you see. Baby on the way.
I know. Can you believe that? Like,
I mean, probably not when that was happening. You probably like
furthest thing from.
Yeah.
Well, what was interesting is after. Because I had heart surgery afterwards, too, to close that hole. So, like, a month after I had the stroke, I did an award-nominated scene with a heart monitor on a month after I had the stroke. So I had my heart monitor on prepping for surgery. And then I had the heart surgery a couple weeks after that. And one of the things, I was talking to my cardiologist about, I was like, can I have kids in the future? Is this like, and at that point, that was kind of the furthest thing from my mind. But I mean, all these things kind of, once you start getting like your normal life back, then you start thinking of like, wow, can I actually like have children? And there were several doctors I considered a high risk pregnancy. So I have a fetal, like neonatal doctor that I have to go to regularly that monitors baby's heart and my heart. I actually was in the hospital. They covered it in the media. I had an infection, just bizarre things that your body does, of course, a couple months ago, and it just was antibiotic resistant, which was terrifying. And of course, being pregnant, you can't treat anything normally. And my body, like, has never not responded to antibiotics before, but then being pregnant changed everything. So I ended up in the emergency room and then was released with antibiotics for this infection that I had. The infection didn't go away. A couple days later, Matt was actually wrestling in the pay-per-view in Detroit. Is it Fastlane? Is that the one?
SummerSlam?
SummerSlam. That was it. So he wasn't here, and I was like by myself with my son trying to deal with that, and I couldn't like walk. It was this crazy infection. It's the craziest thing that's ever happened. And it blew up. It was like, it ended up being like cellulitis, but I had like a cyst the size of a grapefruit that then started to like burst, and it was horrible. It was a really nasty situation. Ended up back in the hospital, and I was hospitalized for 9 days, which is crazy. Like, even when I had a stroke, I wasn't in the hospital 9 days, but they couldn't get me to respond to antibiotics, and it was scary. That was a scary one. And then my kidneys started to fail because they're pumping just so much stuff in your system. It dropped my kidney function. So then that was the biggest concern, was once they figured out the antibiotics, they're like, oh, we actually can't give you antibiotics, these ones, because now your kidneys are failing. So it was like one thing after another, and they would blow out my veins. Like every time they had to put IVs, like I had them in my fingers at the end of it, because they blew out every single vein that I had because these antibiotics were like burning through the IVs or something. I was like, is this safe to have like antibiotics that like burn holes in your veins? Whatever. According to the medical staff in Florida, very, very helpful. I know, questionable. Don't make that face. I made that face too. I was like, I don't know about this. But they took really good care of me and the baby, and that was terrifying. So very happy that everybody came out of that, alive and well. And I was concerned about it, with the baby too, but they were also. So the benefits of being pregnant in the hospital, they're very, very careful with you.
I would hope so.
They're very careful. They were monitoring me like crazy. So I was really happy for that. But, just these weird things that happen, and you just don't have any chance to prepare for things like that, and didn't know what it was going to be like. I mean, almost 2 weeks in the hospital is a long time. So, and I was so ready to get out of there. I did not want to be in the hospital at all. So, luckily we're here, happy, healthy. We're only 6 weeks away from baby. So,
are you having a boy or?
Having a boy. And we're actually having a boy, and we're tossing like names around. So, it'll be fun to see. I think we picked the one that we want. It was my idea. When it comes out, it was my idea. People will think it's not, but it was my idea. So future reference, that's an exclusive. It was my idea.
Okay. I mean, that's got to be exciting,
Super exciting. We're super excited. And, this is my second boy. It's Matt's second boy. So very exciting. I have a 6-year-old that has cerebral palsy. So, handful he is, but it's nice to have a brother and just a lot of boys in the family, which I'm stoked about. Everyone's like, oh, did you want a girl? Like, balance it out. I was like, girls seem like they're so much harder to me than boys, I'm happy with having boy. Like, I'm totally good with it. Girls are dramatic, so I'm happy.
Going back to your career, I mean, pretty modeling. Director,
Yeah.
actress, multi-talented,
Thank you.
business owner.
Yeah. All kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, probably things that you don't get enough credit for.
Thank you. I agree. Lots of things. Well, people, it's not, I feel like, we get enough credit for it, but it's that people fixate a lot once they find out, what I do with people are fascinated by the adult stuff, which I understand. There's just this human curiosity about adult entertainment. And especially with people like myself and others that come from like a pretty normal background too. And like, went to college, have degrees, traveled that path. People are perplexed even further by that because of the stereotypes of, the drugs and the alcohol and, all the different like stereotypes that kind of coexist with adult stars, that there's, the stigma.
They just see that you're an adult entertainer or that you're dating Matt Riddle. They miss all the accolades that you actually do have. As you see, you have some of the awards here.
A couple of them, yeah.
And like how do you feel about like them not seeing these accolades that you've achieved with your own hard work?
I think it's interesting being under the magnifying glass so much now, because I've always kind of, even in my professional career, I've taken on the role to try to humanize the entire industry and, putting myself out there a lot more than, a lot of people dare to do, for good reason, because, we're not viewed as humans. It's especially in the adult world. Like, I think, celebrities in general get dehumanized so often, but when you add like the sex element to it, it's out the window, so the way we're treated is just like atrocious. So I made it a mission to take on that cause, to try to make an example of myself and to show like elements of my life, to try to show people like we're human beings. Like, we have health problems, we have families, we people love us, and we have educations, we have hobbies, we're real people, and in doing so, it's interesting to see people respond to that. And I have been fortunate enough, pre-wrestling involvement mostly, to have pretty positive feedback with a lot of the causes that I've taken on and the projects and things that I've wanted to do. That being said, being in the wrestling community has been a very interesting experience, good and bad. But it's just makes it that much more important to continue to do that. You kind of feel lost in the sauce sometimes when people just label you a certain way, or like, it's like they refer to me as like the porn star this and the porn star girlfriend and da 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 da. And it's like, there's so much more to me. And it's also like, it's a negative connotation to use it in. It's not like they're using it in a positive or flattering way. They're not saying like
award winning, award nominating.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like, if they try to use it as in a negative light.
Yeah, it's like a slur in a sense, like they're trying to add this element to me by putting that in the title. Like, they could just use my name alone, but that wouldn't sell articles or clicks for them. So there's that. And I understand it too. And like, again, there's like this fixation, and the biggest thing for me is that I never wanted it to impact like his work. And we live in a society, it's like so unfortunate that would even be considered viable. Like, that would be a realistic possibility, that someone as an adult, who makes adult choices, not harming anyone, there's no harm coming from our relationship, but for people to look at it in such a negative light where it could potentially negatively influence his career is crazy. So, and it's unfortunate. But that's what, and I almost took offense to it initially because of just how, I pride myself on the work, the philanthropy, and the causes that I support. And just in general, just trying to be the most decent person I can be, and for them to just slander you just relentlessly is so unfair to me. And it's disappointing, but it's also, that's the society that we live in. So again, you can take it a couple different ways. You can let it bother you, which it does. You're human. It does from time to time, but I'm so used to it now that I'm like, there's really nothing you can say to me that bothers me at this point, because I've been hearing it for 20 years,
Now, do you think it's the time that we're in, like such as the social media? Do you think that plays a factor into?
100%.
Okay.
I would say that social media is 99% related. Like, that people have lost, one, their fucking minds. Two, they've lost touch with like reality and, each other, and going outside and touch grass more often would be a good idea. Like, I can't believe some of the stuff that people think that they can get away with saying online. And I've actually been, one of my new like projects that I want to start working on, because I was involved in politics for a long time, kind of like wanting to dust off my lobbying kind of shoes. I think there should be regulation and accountability for a lot of these social media networks, like, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. They should be held accountable for allowing people to slander, to threaten. Like, I don't know how like it's acceptable to like send people violent death threats and there's no accountability. You can't even find out who it is. A lot of this stuff is done anonymously. So how is that acceptable? We live in a society now where it's like there's no accountability. So I think it would be good to heavily like regulate all of the social media networks.
And are these like wrestling fans or people in general who are doing this?
The internet wrestling community is a very unique animal. They're wonderful for the most part. Like, I always said, like, when I first started, because I did XPW, I was in XPW as a valet, and I gigged and everything, and did the whole thing. Like, I loved it. It was a super fun experience. Like, and I really liked wrestling, but I had the first taste of like what wrestling fans were through that, and I was, again, like, really positive experience, like, from the fans that I got. And I'll never forget getting like a few of those wrestling fans to cross over and kind of be personal fans. And I was like, man, they're like the most loyal of any fan I've ever had. Like, I've had people, porn fans before, like, they'll show up to shows and the same events and conventions, and you see them all the time, and they hit you up and you kind of carry on, But there's something about wrestling fans. They're devoted, They're ruthless, though, too. Like, they take things so personally. It's a personal attack to them a lot of times, which I get it. You're so heavily invested in something, and it means that much to you. And they do, like, they're invested. I get it. But it's like, to take it to the next step, and like the threats, and like, I mean, you're talking like this, it becomes real then, like threatening like stalkers, and then you're really moving into a world that this is unacceptable. Like, you have to be able to separate the fantasy from reality. And a lot of people have a hard time. And I think especially these days, it's particularly hard. Yeah. And it's harder when you have a bunch of fucking dirt sheets, make shit up and post it, cement it all over the internet as if it's fact. And then people believe this. And so you should see that some of the comments I get, they're from storylines that people believe, or they're from headlines that are downright, vicious lies. And they take it and they digest it as if it's fact, without any research, without any integrity to it, and they just regurgitate it. And it's scary, because as like stupid as it seems, that's like our life, and our safety, and our children's lives and their safety. And it's like the disregard people have for other people, just in general, is crazy to me. It's crazy. We've lost touch with who we are as like human beings. So it'd be nice to get back to that one day. But I don't know if that's possible with the way things are on the internet. The internet has just destroyed our humanity inside and out.
All the, like you said, all the journalists who create stories that they say they've heard or they make up on their own, just to get a couple clicks.
Yeah, and that's the world we live in too, where there's again no accountability, and you don't. They say they have sources. Well, who is your source there? And they tiptoe, on the edge of a lot of things, like where it's speculative, but then they run it as if it's fact, and people are stupid enough, and they've been engineered to accept that as fact. So they're not, in a lot of ways, it's like not even their own fault because they're so ignorant that they're like digesting it because they've been trained to. It's like, oh, someone wrote that. They probably did their research. You would assume, right? So you're like, oh yeah, anything I read, like it should have been reported as
a
fact.
Journalist.
Yeah, a journalist, like with credibility. You're reputable. You report things that are the truth so that you're exposing the truth for everybody. And that's not the case. And particularly in the wrestling community, there's like this weird, a lot of like agendas and like personal vendettas and stuff, which are weird. It's just a bizarre world that exists. Like the porn world is in its own little bubble. The wrestling world's in a bigger bubble, but it's like, it's so toxic too.
Especially when somebody is the hot topic or one of the hot topics.
Yeah.
Nabbing one of them, and they'll just since that's like the person like that all the eyes are now. So now it's like we need something while they're hot to keep continuing this.
It's undeniably hot, like in every sense of the word, because it's like you can't take a shit without somebody writing an article about it. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's problematic when it's people have no idea what the truth is, and you're hurting people that don't deserve to be hurt and seen in this light. And it's frustrating to watch, like as like family members watching, our family member, they're horrified watching, and friends, and like even like our friends, it's like they're like, God, what is this shit? It's like, don't ask me. I have no idea. I don't know where they come up with half of this stuff. And the thing is too is they'll take like even like an element of the truth and it's sensationalized,
Turn the volume up.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Turn the heat up on it, and it's like, like things that wouldn't be that big of a deal, but we're gonna make it that big of a deal, and that's just how it is. So I mean, in some ways, it's like, what do? You can't control what other people do or say. Is it unfortunate? Yes. Is it truthful? No. But it's like I get frustrated with it. I have to stop reading stuff and watching it because it's like, I can't take it, like our parents, they're just mortified. They read stuff, I mean, my doctor, like asks questions about, everything going on. And I'm just like, stop reading stuff online. Stop reading stuff online. As I tell them, I was like, don't read it. Just unplug from it. You can't change it, because the first reaction too, especially for people that you care about getting attacked relentlessly, constantly, is you want to defend them. And it's like, there's no point. You're fighting an uphill battle with people that are unreasonable, and, they have no integrity and no morals and low intelligence. So it's like, there's no point in arguing with these people. Like, just let them, they're miserable too. Like a lot of these people that comment, like they'll say the nasty shit about like me, and then I go to their like profile and I'm like, rough. Like what? Like how is that even like a thing that you do? Like, and I look at it and I'm just like, okay, maybe like learn to like some dental hygiene before you can like open your mouth and say something horrible about me and other people. Like, why do you go out of your way to be nasty? But then you see why they do it is because they're, miserable themselves. So again, I just try to like handle that with, the world needs more positivity. The world needs more of that connection with each other. So instead of contributing to it, which would be easy to do, is even that comment I made, mean, I could put that back into the universe and be mean back and defensive, and my hurt I could share with other people and inflict it on them, but I choose not to. It's like, if people are hurting that much, it's just a reflection of where we are as a society. So what can we do to better that? And so I think contributing in a positive way, even if people are so vile, it's so important to try to change that narrative. That's right. Exactly. And that's it. And, keeping that mindset, because people are, especially these days, like, there's so much hostility and anger and hatred, and it's really easy to fall into that. And, I think it takes a lot more strength and courage to be above that and to try to make something positive, because we all have pain. We all have hurt. We all have anger, but to weaponize it and to inflict it on people, one, you don't even know, and even like the people I see in the comments, they go after each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is horrible, and it just makes me sad and sick to think, and a lot of these people clearly are not mentally well. This is why people commit suicide too. The bullying, the cyberbullying, and that's a real thing. So how this is acceptable? Like, I've had people, they like will legitimately threaten my life, and I'll report those things. And I don't know if it's because of what I do for a living, or because my profile, gets flagged for like adult things just for existing, all the time. They go completely ignored completely. And, the comments won't even be removed.
Elon.
I know, Elon.
We need you to step it up, Elon.
Yeah. Elon. Like, it's, one of those things, they're overwhelmed with that too. Like, their reporting systems are flawed. If I wear a bikini though, that shit will get taken down in 5 seconds. But if you report like somebody's like, I don't know if it's credible or not, they're threatening and they say these horrible, nasty, vile things, and like, they'll let that sit up for a year. And then they'll address it, and then they'll say, that's fine. That was acceptable. That was freedom of speech. It's like, so you're tiptoeing again on this weird line, it's like a thin line between freedom of speech and full-blown defamation, in my opinion. So I think the line should be clearer, and people should be responsible for saying things that are damaging and not true. So, but it's hard, and people think too, like, we don't respond to a lot of things, which a lot of people don't respond to a lot of things that are said about them, because if you responded to every single negative thing that was said about you, that would be your full-time job, and I have things to do, So in that case, though, because you're silenced, they think that you're, that's a acceptance of that story or acceptance of their version of the truth. It's not. Like, don't get me wrong, like, our silence does not mean that all the stories out there are accurate. And I think that's another thing that people like misinterpret is you're silent, then therefore you're giving it the stamp of approval for it being a fact when it's not. So I just don't feel like arguing with every single fucking stupid thing they say that's wrong.
No, I understand. I understand that. And yeah, no, I mean, it's like you said, some people are cruel, but like you said, they make that their full-time job, which is just attacking whoever they feel at there for the entire day. Like, you look at these people's replies, and it's just at this person, at this person, at this person. It's just, and it's just, that's just what they do all day.
It's sick.
So
mental health is suffering in our country big time too. And I think social media reveals that like a lot. And it's, even the people, the instability, and then just the suffering, of people to go like, that's not normal to behave that way or to react that way. We've normalized it because of this outlet that people think, again too, like, people, everybody's entitled to have an opinion, but now people think that because it's broadcasted to the world, potentially, that their opinion matters.
Becomes fact.
Yeah, like, I hate to break it to you, but like, some people's opinions, they really don't matter. They don't. Like, Nobody wants to hear that, especially if it's negative. You know, what are you contributing to the world? I really like my response. A lot of times, people like I'll troll a few of them because they're funny. Like when they spell loser wrong, that's my favorite. They spell like losers.
Yeah,
It's
L
just my
L
L
L double
O
O.
O.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, you got me there, loser. But like things like that. But I think it's funny. Like I'll troll it, you know, back. But to be funny, I would never like. It's hard because like I'll type stuff out too. A lot of the things like
Just get whatever you like
I
in your
can
mind.
write
like,
it out, I type it, and then I'm just like, and then I delete it because I'm like, also I don't respond because that's what they want too, you know.
and that'll be the next headline is
Oh God forbid.
Misha Montana snaps at fan.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be
Well,
the
that's
next
what they
one.
like. They'll probably make it seem like I like hate wrestling fans. I don't. I don't at all. Like, but it's just like this is a very transparent picture of like what I have to deal with on a daily basis, and this is just my reality. You know, I wish it wasn't that way, but and I'm not saying all of it's bad. You know, like I said, some of my favorite people and fans that I've met and interacted with are wrestling fans. They're wonderful. You know, but it's like if some of these people, I wouldn't even call them. I don't know why they're called fans because they're so nasty. I wouldn't call them a fan. You know, not a fan, so to speak. They might be like other wrestling fans, but I don't know. It's just there's this weird attachment that people have to it that it just goes beyond normal anything I've ever experienced in my life. So it's an interesting ride.
Um, and what do you like? What do you have? What projects are you working on currently?
Right now, you know, the baby is the big project
Yeah.
right now. I was multitasking and trying to direct and do all these projects, and it just seemed like it was kind of overwhelming for me. So, at the first of the year, I've been writing and trying to get this horror porn I've been wanting to do for the last year and a half that we've kind of messed around with for that long. I want to get that going. So I still am writing and directing in, you know, the current capacity. Everybody wants to know if I'm going to go back to performing. I don't know right now. I like performing. I always have. Like, so I just don't know. All the doors are open still. I never close doors permanently, you know. So we'll see. But definitely writing and directing is huge for me. I'm working on all kinds of mainstream stuff, and we're doing a clothing line right now, which is taking up a huge amount of time. So it's always busy. There's always something. I can't, like, everyone's like, oh, you're going to be like stay-at-home mom and hang out? Like, never. Like, I mean, good for people that do it. I could never. Like, I do both, you know, but I couldn't just give up working, period. Like, I'm writing a book. The book I'm trying to have out before Christmas. We'll see. But, you know, just always keeping busy with something. There's always something going on. It's never a dull moment around here.
I mean, like new endeavors with instead of writing a book, which I'm just, like, praise all of you who write books because I know I couldn't do it.
It's a lot.
It's just a lot of patience.
It's a lot. Yeah. Well, then you go through things, and it's like, for me, it's like traumatic because I'm like relive things too. And it's like, that was part of it is I had been, you know, I wanted to write a book for years. And then after the stroke, everyone's like, you should write a book. You should write a book. And then I'm like, the last year or so, add a whole bunch more to it. That's the hardest part with writing a book is like, there's not an ending. So it's kind of hard to, you know, you start writing it, then you change it. It's like, because they're new like life events that happen. But I think we're at a good place where, you know, I want to talk about the book. This book particularly focuses a lot on my career and the difficulties in the last year with dealing with my career and a lot of the experiences that I had towards the end of, you know, I don't want to say the end of my career because it's not over, but, you know, I dealt with a lot of like politics and porn and then dealing with, you know, the wrestling community. It impacted my career in a lot of ways. And then having a former relationship with somebody who was a power figure, then go and, you know, try to ruin my career intentionally and sabotage it, and did a good job at doing so, unfortunately. So like that kind of stuff is going to be in it that I think, you know, nobody knows a lot of those stories because I've kept them extremely close, with good reason. But again, and that's another thing, people don't understand is like not saying something as it happens necessarily too. Like I was just trying to deal with it for the last year has been crazy, a lot of stuff. And every day it's like a different headline about, something or another. So it's just like an honest reflection of dealing with a lot of the things that people have never really heard me address. Like I do in some ways, but I've never really opened it up, like to see the whole picture of exactly what it was like to be in that position at that time. So I'm excited for it. I think it'll be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like maybe so a lot of things you need to let loose, and
Yeah, definitely. It's good therapy.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, gosh.
And loose, like how they spell lose, but
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. My looser, let it out. My loose chain.
So there is another aspect of the show. We talk about it's usually rap, but we could talk about music in general.
Oh yeah, I love music. I'm into it.
But what do you listen to when on the regular?
I'm all over I'm one of those people where like if you look at my playlist, you're like, what the fuck? Like it's so weird on a daily basis. Like I love Marilyn Manson is a go-to for me. But then I Britney Spears tattooed on my arm. Love Britney. Things like that. I'm all over the place. Rap, alternative, rock, pop, anything that's hot.
Do you have like if you had to name 5 artists you couldn't go without listening to, who would that be?
Probably it would be Marilyn, and then I'd say like Imagine Dragons, and Britney, and God, I don't know, there's so many. Like Cardi, Drake, Eminem. I'm a big like even yesterday like I go through my phases like this week, the past couple weeks it's been like old school Eminem, like even like the LPs and stuff. So I'm like,
great albums.
Yeah,
I
love
them.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm into it.
Rock Bottom and Role Model are like some of my favorite songs ever.
Same. Like in his whole, back when he was like heavily using drugs, like in the D12, like all that, I just love it. Like, so that's been my latest. Is like I have the old school Eminem albums.
It sounds messed up, but I joke with my friends. I was like, Eminem should just start thinking about those drugs again, because the music hasn't been the same.
It's not horrible. Like
the music hasn't been the same.
No, when I remember the last album he put out was such shit. Was it Kamikaze? Yeah. The one like right before that was the second to last, I think.
Yeah, he had Revival was bad to me.
Yeah, there are a few because he's been sober, and it's sad to say that.
Recovery wasn't all that to me.
No, this is good.
Ironically, the last album I thought was good by Eminem was Relapse.
Yeah,
and I think that's what we need.
Figures, right?
Sorry, Marshall.
Sacrifice your health. He just turned 51 yesterday too, and I felt so old. So I was like in middle school, going to Tower Records, trying to get my mom to buy the like explicit version. We're like 13. And I'm like, that motherfucker is 51 years old. So old. I know. Can you believe that? I didn't know he was 51.
I didn't know he was 51.
Another thing, Jack Nicholson. I didn't know he was like 90.
Jack
Nicholson's like almost 90, I think, is what we saw something the other day, and I was like, no, he can't be. You picture like Jack Nicholson at the basketball court, like
a
hanging
Laker game,
out with the girls.
Yep.
And I'm like, no, he can't be 90. You're killing me right now. Like, what? He's in his either 80s or like 90. It's close to 90, but even like 80s. I'm like, Jack Nicholson, 80s.
Well, Al Pacino's up there.
And he just had a baby. That guy. What a guy.
Better than me, because he's like 95 having babies.
So selfish. I think.
I know.
That's not fair.
Yeah, because that kid's going to be like 2 and he'll be gone. Well, like, God forbid, sorry.
People are like, money, they're like, oh, he has money. And money is not everything,
It's not, but like, damn. Like,
I mean, you'll be set if Al Pacino is your dad.
He's like my great-grandfather's age.
Oh, I know. And having kids, I think it's weird. I think you should stop it. Like, even me now, I'm I'm 33 and I'm like, I'm like close to being considered a geriatric pregnancy here. Okay. So I'm like, which sounds ridiculous, but it's like, I get it. This pregnancy is so much harder this time than it was with my son, like day and night difference. I was like 26, like, oh, I'm so hot and being pregnant. Love it. Like running around. And now I'm just like, kill me every second. So I get it. And that's because you're older. So people say that, they're like, you're 7 years older than you were then. I'm like, I feel like 70
With
years older.
the knees gone, the back gone.
I can't stand up. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, I literally feel like a turtle. Like, at night, I'll get to a point, I'll be sitting on the couch. I can't get up. My feet won't work. My hips won't work. My back doesn't work. And I have to, like, waddle my way hunched over to the bed. Like, this is embarrassing. Like, I shouldn't be 33 years old. Like, what is happening?
I don't know. I feel that. Trust and believe, man.
I can't, like, I don't know how Jack Nicholson's doing it at 90, like, what's happening? Eminem at 50, what?
Yeah.
And he's been through some hard moments in his life, you know?
I mean, he got past through 20 of them on drugs, so.
I know.
And was making the best music ever.
I know. I love it. Eminem is definitely, like, a fave. Yeah. Eminem's a fave.
Yeah, Drake loses me every now and then.
He's losing me right now.
Yeah.
I'm a little lost with him right now. Yeah, and then his son started. He's very cute.
Little Ice Spice.
He's so. Oh my god, little Ice Spice. So blonde Ice Spice. Wasn't there that picture of like his baby mama with like the tennis coach that looks way more like him than he does? Did you see this?
No,
the
but
guy's like blonde with curly hair, like Adonis is, and then it's like this is the real father.
Find out Adonis's dad is Napoleon Dynamite.
I swear, but they had to have done a DNA test. Like,
he said he did.
I'm sure they did.
He said he did, and I mean, I don't know what doctor he went to. I don't know if he went to her doctor.
Well, that was like Blueface saying that Krishan photoshopped the DNA test. Which I wouldn't be surprised, because her ex-boyfriend came out like and had a picture of the baby.
Aubrey,
like, that's mine.
Aubrey, you might have to run that back. Run that DNA test back.
You think somebody though with that much wealth to lose, they'd be the first thing to be like, that's a DNA test. People bug me about getting a DNA test though, like all the time. They're like, oh, I know that's not his kid, and I'm like, oh my god. So. Like, what am I supposed to post like the results of our DNA tests when it comes? Like, the people with the DNA test is weird. And again, like Krishan could have photoshopped her Blueface one, so it's probably not that hard.
I think with success and money, I think just Drake just lost that he lost that hunger.
Yeah, they do. I think that was part of Eminem's problem.
No, Eminem was drugs.
No,
Eminem got clean.
I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, no. Eminem got clean. that was his thing. That was his, and Haley's grown now, so he doesn't, he doesn't
She's
have Haley.
Gorgeous.
He doesn't have Haley stories like
her cute little voice.
Maybe he needs another kid.
Yeah, there you go. That's probably I was gonna say bad idea, but he's sober now.
Yeah, I mean,
he wasn't. I was listening to it like, which freaking song is it? "Sing for the Moment."
Yes.
And like where he's talking about, sampling. Like, I love it. And one of the lines that he's talking about where because he dealt with all the like the bullshit from like the court systems, and they were like saying he was a bad dad. I mean, we were kids. Like, it was on the cover of Newsweek. Like, your kids are being exposed to this monster of a human. Like, don't let them, listen to this shit. And it was interesting, like re-listening to it and then thinking about that, like back then, dealing with, and Britney Spears, everybody was on the covers for just their outrageous behavior. Now it's like,
how dare you?
Now it's like, I don't know, it's like glorified to be that way, to be outrageous. That's what's like a bummer. Like, being outrageous was so cool.
Well, Eminem couldn't say a lot of the things he was saying at that time now.
He couldn't, can anybody say anything though these days? Like,
but he was saying
he said some crazy shit. Don't get me wrong. Like, and then like there's a lot of
like imagine if he made the song Kim today.
I know, or like same song and dance. There's a few of them where it's like, that would not have been a thing.
No,
Even that, you see that all the TikTok kids are trying to cancel Eminem. recently, and I was like, yeah, good luck with
You
that.
can't cancel Eminem.
What's they trying to cancel? Like South Park wouldn't survive. I mean,
Which is, I don't know how it does survive.
I don't know how it does now. Right? People just have accepted that that's
I
how
guess
it
so.
is.
Like that's this
It's
is
grandfathered in.
Yeah.
We've grandfathered South Park in. But everything else is sensitive and we're upset about it. So
they could try to cancel Eminem all you want. But at the end of the day, Eminem has the most Grammys ever.
yeah, go ahead. I'm surprised they haven't tried to take them away. Yeah, they'll probably get on that at some point. I don't know. I feel like the cancel culture though it's backfiring. It was so well intentioned, but I think like it's gone so far. It's just obscene how far it's gone.
Eminem, he made enough bad music that America liked to cancel out.
Redemption.
Yeah, he redeemed that like
Yeah, it's redemption.
yeah like
With his sober album.
yeah like he the Not Afraid, terrible
Yeah.
song, but America loved it, and so I think he did enough to cancel. He balanced himself now,
Yeah.
so.
Get it.
Maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe just
back.
balance. Like I don't know.
We'll try. We'll see. One day at a time.
Yeah, we'll take it one day at a time.
Everything's one day at a time.
But yeah, thank you so much for.
Oh, thank you. It's such a
for
pleasure. Yeah, this is great. I love it. We could talk for all day long.
I
love
know.
it. It's great. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much. Let them know where they can reach out to you, or anything they like,
All the good
website,
stuff.
all the good
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, you can find me on socials. All of them are at the Misha Montana, and then MishaMontana.com, and my OnlyFans.com/Misha Montana. All kinds of good stuff. So.
And book
Coming. Look forward to that. Writing.
the Halloween movie.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Directing new fun stuff. All kinds of good things coming. We got new photo things coming. I wanted to jump back into modeling again, so hopefully some new modeling cool things will come. We'll see. All kinds of things. So clothing line
Oh yeah, clothing line.
coming. That's a big one.
Yes.
That'll be fun. It's really cool. It's a wrestling related one too, so it's a little bit of porn wrestling combo. So that'll be good. But yeah.
All right. I mean, I'm excited.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's cool. It's dope. Trust me, it's dope. It's dope. So.
All right. Well, again, thank you again for coming, and make sure you guys check all the sites out. I'll have them like right under.
Cool, the links. Hit the
Yeah,
links.
right there. And yeah, make sure you guys give her a shout, give her a follow. I want to thank Off the Rope. I want to thank Elite Photos. I want to
me
thank.
too.
I want to thank Al.
Baddest.
Appreciate you guys. Stunners and Stoners. And yeah, man, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Till next time.
Go and hit the ATM, a couple calls, nigga ain't showing no face. I've been losing my mind, so I'm back on these pills. Fighting these demons, you know what I feel. Got me a pattern while I'm back in the field. It been so long, I wonder, do I heal? Snakes in the grass, so I'm keeping it real. Feel like I'm hustling on top of the hill. Told these bitch niggas not signing no deal. I'm in the truck till I get me